face down. Now. Don't make me ask twice.
Officer, please, I can't breathe with my face in the...
Did I say talk? You people never listen.
Wait, what is that? What just fell out of her pocket?
The asphalt sears through her silk blouse. August pavement that has baked for 9 hours under Georgia's sun. Gravel embeds into her cheekbone. Her knee splits open against concrete. The weight crushing her spine makes each breath a negotiation. She hears the crackle of his radio, the click of handcuffs unclipping, her own heartbeat drowning out the distant traffic. His knee shifts deeper between her shoulder blades, a slow, deliberate grind that says, I own this moment. One hand pins her wrist, the other rests on his holster. His voice carries the cold certainty of someone who has never faced a consequence in his life. Cars slow on the highway shoulder. A mother shields her child's eyes. An old man in a veteran's cap steps closer. Phones rise. 6, 12, 20. Red lights blink. Everyone watches. No one intervenes. A leather case tumbles from her jacket, skittering across gravel toward the veteran's feet. He bends slowly. Arthritic fingers close around it. He flips it open. The color drains from his face. His mouth moves, but no sound comes out. This isn't a traffic stop anymore. This is a career, a badge, a lifetime of arrogance, about to collapse in on itself. If this moment made your chest tight, you're not alone. Tell me in the comments, have you ever watched someone be treated this wrong? 7:42 a.m. Thursday morning. A one-bedroom apartment in downtown Macon. Maya Brooks stands before a cracked bathroom mirror. 28 years old. 5'6". Natural hair pulled into a low bun. The face looking back belongs to the youngest police chief in Georgia history. She does not feel historic. She feels nauseated. The blazer on the door cost 3 weeks of savings. Charcoal gray, professional, the kind of thing a chief wears when she meets her department for the first time. The kind of thing that says I belong here, even when every voice in her head whispers otherwise. Her phone buzzes. Voicemail from her mother, left at 5:47 a.m. before her night shift ended at Grady Memorial. Maya presses play. Baby, it's Mama. I know you're nervous. I know you're scared. But I need you to hear me. Her mother's voice cracks. Your brother would be so proud of you. Darius would be in that front row today, clapping louder than anyone. You carry him with you, baby. You always have. Maya closes her eyes. Darius, 14 years dead this November. Shot 3 times outside a convenience store in Bankhead. She was 14, he was 19. Wrong place, wrong time. Wrong skin in a neighborhood that had already written his ending. The cops never found who did it. The case went cold in 6 months. Another black boy filed under unsolved and forgotten. Maya never forgot. She promised herself, promised Darius, that she would change the system from inside. Become the thing that failed him. Make it work. Make it protect. Academy at 21. Top of her class. Detective at 24. Youngest in department history. She broke the corruption case that brought down Chief Harrison and 12 dirty officers. Lieutenant at 26. Rebuilt community policing from the ground up, walked the neighborhoods herself, learned names, attended funerals, showed up when no one else would. And now, Chief at 28. The mayor called it a new era. The council called it a bold choice. The local news called it controversial. Maya calls it a target on her back. She picks up the leather badge case from her dresser, runs her thumb across the gold shield. Chief of Police. Macon, Georgia. The words still feel foreign. Her phone buzzes again. Text from the mayor's office. Ceremony starts at 9 shuck. Don't be late. Press already here? Maya checks the time. 7:48 a.m. Ceremony in Macon. 45 minutes if traffic cooperates. She grabs her keys. Briefcase. Blazer. Slips the badge case into her jacket pocket. She will pin it on at City Hall. In front of the cameras, the way they want. For now, she is just a woman in slacks and a silk blouse, driving an 8-year-old Honda Civic with a dent in the bumper. For now, no one knows who she is. That will change in less than 90 minutes. 17 miles north, Officer Tyler Briggs starts his shift the way he always does, with his father's voice in his skull. Trust your gut, son. The book is for lawyers. The street is for cops. Sergeant Frank Briggs, retired after 22 years. The kind of cop who talks about the good old days, when officers handled things without cameras, complaints, and community review boards. Tyler worships him. 24 years old. 18 months on patrol. Highway 85, the corridor between Atlanta and Macon that sees everything from speeders to runners. His record is clean. Officially. Unofficially. 2 complaints buried in a file. Both excessive force. Both black suspects. Both dismissed for insufficient evidence after his father made calls to old friends. Tyler does not think about those complaints. He thinks about proving himself. Making detective before 30. Showing everyone the Briggs name still means something. His partner today is Officer Darnell Watts. Tyler does not like Darnell. Not because Darnell is bad at his job. He is solid, careful, methodical. 3 years on the force without a single complaint. The kind of cop who checks his body camera twice before every stop. Tyler does not like him because Darnell questions things, hesitates, asks why when Tyler wants to act, and sometimes when Tyler moves too fast, pushes too hard, Darnell gives him a look, not a word. Just a look. Eyes that say, I see what you're doing, I see who you are. Tyler hates that look. They pull out of the precinct at 7:55 a.m. Radio crackles. Dispatch assigns Highway 85 patrol. Darnell scans the road ahead. Quiet morning so far. Won't stay quiet, Tyler replies. His fingers drum the wheel. I can feel it. Something's out there. Darnell says nothing. But that look flickers across his face again. Tyler pretends not to notice. 8:12 a.m., Highway 85, 6 miles from Macon. The sun has turned the asphalt into a griddle, 94 degrees already. Heat waves shimmer off pavement like spirits trying to escape. Maya drives with her window cracked. The Civic's AC died 2 summers ago. Chief's salary does not start until paperwork clears. She passes a billboard. Welcome to Macon, where Southern hospitality lives. She almost smiles. Her phone rings. Caller ID, Mayor Ellen Taylor. She lets it go to voicemail. The mayor has called 3 times. Nervous energy disguised as check-ins. Maya will handle politics after the ceremony. Right now she needs quiet. Then, blue and red in the rearview mirror. Maya's stomach drops. Not today. Please, not today. She checks the speedometer. 53 in a 55 zone, under the limit. She signals, pulls onto the gravel shoulder, puts the car in park, places both hands on the steering wheel. Visible. Non-threatening. Everything she teaches cadets to do. Behind her, a patrol car stops. Driver's door opens. A young white officer steps out. Mid-20s, confident stride, hand already resting near his belt. Maya watches him approach in the side mirror. She knows this walk. Has seen it 1,000 times. Has trained officers to unlearn it. This is not routine. This is a decision already made. The officer reaches her window. No greeting, no explanation. License and registration, he orders. Maya nods slowly. Officer, I'm going to reach into my purse on the passenger seat. My identification is inside. His jaw tightens. Did I ask for a play-by-play? Just get the ID? Maya's hands stay still. 28 years old. Youngest chief in state history. 90 minutes from her swearing in. And right now, she is just a black woman on the side of a Georgia highway, praying the next few minutes do not go the way she knows they can. The way they always can. Maya's hands remain on the steering wheel. Still, visible, waiting. She has taught this protocol 1,000 times, knows that sudden movements end lives, knows that compliance is no guarantee, but resistance is a death sentence. I'm reaching now, she says. Slowly. Her fingers move toward her jacket pocket. Tyler's eyes track every inch like her hand might become a weapon. She pulls out the wallet, removes her license, extends it with 2 fingers, slow, deliberate, exactly as she teaches cadets. Tyler snatches it. He studies the photo, studies her face, studies the photo again. This doesn't look like you, he says. Maya blinks. Excuse me? The picture. Hair's different, face looks different. He tilts the license toward the sun. Where'd you get this? That's my license, officer, issued by the state of Georgia. I've changed my hairstyle since... People buy fake IDs all the time. His lip curls. Especially people who don't match their vehicles. Don't match their vehicles? Maya understands exactly what he means. A young black woman, professional clothes, old Honda Civic. In his mind, these things cannot coexist. So one of them must be a lie. He has decided it is her. Implicit bias confirmed, she thinks. Racial profiling. Textbook failure. And it is happening to her. In the patrol car, Darnell runs Maya's information through the system. The results return in seconds. Maya Alicia Brooks, 28, Macon, Georgia. No warrants, no priors, no flags, license valid, registration current, insurance active, clean, completely clean. He keys the radio. Tyler, her license checks out clean, no issues. Static crackles. Then Tyler's voice. Stay out of this, Watts, I got it handled. Darnell's jaw tightens. Stay out of this. He has heard that phrase before. Has seen what handled looks like when Tyler says it. He should push back, should insist, should do something. But he stays in the car. For now. Tyler tosses Maya's license onto the dashboard. The plastic skids across sun-cracked vinyl. Step out of the vehicle, he orders. Maya's voice stays level. Officer, may I ask the reason? Your attitude is the reason. Tyler steps back from the door. Out, now. Maya exhales. Stay calm. Document everything. Do not give him an excuse. Her own words. From her own training manual, the one she wrote 3 years ago. She opens the door, steps onto the gravel. The August heat wraps around her like a fist. 94 degrees radiating up from asphalt that has baked since dawn. Tyler moves to the passenger side, opens the door without permission. Officer, you have no probable cause to search. I'm securing the scene. He pulls out her briefcase, unzips it, dumps the contents onto the seat. Papers scatter, folders, printed agendas. Her swearing-in speech, 3 pages, handwritten notes in the margins. He rifles through them like they are evidence of a crime. Government documents, he announces. You steal these from somewhere? Those are my work documents. I'm a public servant. I have an event this morning. Sure you do. He tosses the briefcase onto the gravel. Then he spots the garment bag, unzips it, pulls out the charcoal blazer. Nice suit. He holds it up, examines it. Expensive. Where does a girl like you get money for something like this? A girl like you. The words hang in the air, loaded, revealing, final. Maya feels heat rise in her chest, forces it down. This officer is a liability, she thinks. This officer should never have been given a badge, but she says nothing. Because saying something will make it worse. It always makes it worse. Tyler drops the blazer onto the gravel. Charcoal fabric meets Georgia dirt. Doesn't look like something that belongs in a car like this, he says. Darnell steps out of the patrol car. He cannot watch through glass anymore. Tyler. He keeps his voice neutral, professional. Her info is clean. Maybe we should just let her go. Tyler doesn't turn. I said I got this, Watts. But there's no probable cause. She hasn't done anything. Darnell? Tyler's voice drops low. Dangerous. Get back in the car. Darnell stops walking. He looks at Maya, sees the stillness in her posture, the measured breathing, the way her eyes track every movement without reacting. He recognizes that stillness, has seen it in his mother during traffic stops, has seen it in his sisters when men followed them in parking lots, has felt it in his own body when badges approached him in civilian clothes. The stillness of survival, the stillness of someone calculating odds. Do something, a voice screams in his head. Say something. Stop this before it goes further. But Tyler is his partner, and partners back each other up. That is the code. Darnell retreats toward the patrol car. He does not get inside, but he does not intervene. Complicity through silence, Maya thinks, watching him. I've written that phrase in 100 evaluations. I never thought I'd be the one documenting it from the ground. Tyler grabs Maya's arm. His fingers dig into her bicep. Hard enough to leave marks. He yanks her toward the hood of the Civic. Hands on the car, he orders. Maya complies. Her palms press against metal that has been baking for hours. Heat sears her skin. Spread your legs. Officer, this is an unlawful detention. I have committed no crime. I do not consent to… Face down. His hand grips the back of her neck. Now! He pushes. Maya's knees hit gravel first, then her hip, then her shoulder. Her silk blouse tears at the seam. Her cheek scrapes against asphalt, hot, rough, sharp with embedded stones. A car slows on the highway, then another. Windows roll down. A phone rises. The first witness. Tyler's knee drops onto Maya's spine. The weight drives the air from her lungs. She cannot inhale fully, cannot expand her chest. Each breath becomes a negotiation, a small sip of oxygen stolen between waves of pressure. Stop resisting, Tyler orders. I am not… resisting. Maya's voice comes out thin, strained. I cannot breathe properly. With your knee on my... Then stop talking and maybe you can breathe. He presses harder. You people never learn, he mutters through gritted teeth. Never just do what you're told. You people. The phrase crashes through Maya's skull like a verdict. Two words that erase her badge, her rank, her 14 years of climbing, her 28 years of breathing. To this officer, to this knee pressing into her spine, she is not a person. She is not a chief. She is not even a name. She is a category, a threat, a problem to be solved with force. Maya has written those exact words in 100 training evaluations, has circled them in red ink, has failed officers for saying them, and now they are being said to her. By a badge she will command. If she survives the next 10 minutes, Maya feels her ribs compress, feels her diaphragm flatten, feels the world narrow to a tunnel of white heat and crushing weight. I cannot breathe. The words echo in her skull, words that have become hashtags, words that have become eulogies, words that have become the last sounds recorded on body cameras before the recording stops. She thinks of her brother, thinks of the names she has memorized, thinks of the videos she has watched in training rooms, videos meant to teach officers what not to do. She is living one of those videos now. Is this how it ends, she thinks? The irony burns worse than the asphalt. More cars pull over. 3, 4, 5, a family in a minivan, a man in a work truck, a woman in scrubs heading to a hospital shift. Phones rise, 1, then 3, then 6. No one approaches, no one intervenes, but everyone records, because they know what happens when no one watches. Maya turns her head, slightly, just enough to see the badge on Tyler's chest. 4 digits, 4471, she burns them into her brain. Aggressive approach, unlawful search, excessive force, failure to de-escalate, racially motivated detention. Every violation cataloged, every second documented. You're being detained, Tyler announces. He pulls out his handcuffs. For obstruction of justice and resisting arrest. I have not obstructed anything. Maya's words come in fragments. I have not resisted. Please check my credentials. In my jacket pocket, there is a badge case. If you would just... I don't care what's in your pocket. Tyler yanks her arms behind her back. The motion twists her shoulder at an angle that sends fire down her arm. She gasps, the first sound she has allowed herself to make. The cuffs click. Metal bites into her wrists. Cold, tight, final. You should have cooperated, Tyler says. He says it like a lesson, like she brought this on herself. Like everything that has happened is her fault for existing in a space he decided she did not belong. Darnell stands 12 feet away. His body camera records everything. Every shove, every command, every violation of every protocol he swore to uphold. He watches Maya's face pressed into gravel, watches the blood seep from her cheek, watches her chest struggle to rise against Tyler's weight. He watches Tyler, the flush of power, the certainty, the absolute absence of doubt, and Darnell makes a choice, the same choice he made last time. And the time before that, he stays silent. He does nothing. The camera sees everything. Darnell sees everything. And still, nothing changes. Maya lies on burning asphalt, hands cuffed, knee on her spine, blood in the gravel. She opens her eyes, looks directly at the phone recording her from the minivan window, and waits. If your chest feels tight right now, you're not alone. Stay. What happens next will matter. The highway shoulder has become an arena. More cars pull over every minute. The crowd swells. Phones rise like weapons against forgetting. 10 phones, 15 phones, 20 phones. And still, no one intervenes. A pickup truck pulls onto the gravel. Faded green. Rust around the wheel wells. Bumper sticker. Veteran, proud to serve. Earl Jennings steps out slowly. 67 years old. Black man. Gray beard trimmed close. A limp in his left leg. Shrapnel from a war half a century ago. Never fully came out. Never will. He walks toward the scene. Each step deliberate. Each step carrying 50 years of witnessing what America does to people who look like him. He has seen Selma on television. He has seen Rodney King on repeat. He has seen names become hashtags, become forgotten. Now he sees a young black woman face down on Georgia asphalt with a white officer's knee grinding into her spine. Earl pulls out his phone. His hands shake, not from age, from recognition. He presses record. A minivan stops behind Earl's truck. Sandra Mitchell, 43, elementary school teacher, mother of 3, sits in the passenger seat with her phone already raised. Her children are in the back. "Don't look, babies," she says softly, shielding their eyes with her free hand. Mama's just making sure someone remembers. Her 9-year-old daughter peeks through her mother's fingers anyway. She will carry this image for the rest of her life. A silver sedan pulls over, bass thumping through open windows. Jalen Carter, 17, junior at Westlake High, jumps out with his phone already live. "Yo, this is wild," he announces into the camera. "Y'all seeing this right now? Highway 85 just outside Macon. Cop got this lady face down on the ground. She ain't even moving." The viewer count ticks upward. 200. A news van, Channel 7 Atlanta, passes on the highway. Slows. The driver sees the crowd, the phones, the woman on the ground. He makes a U-turn. Reporter Vanessa Cole jumps out before the van fully stops. Cameraman right behind her. "Get everything," she orders. Wide shot, then the officer, then her face. The professional lens zooms in, captures Tyler's knee, captures Maya's blood on the gravel, captures history being made in real time. 800 viewers on Jalen's live stream now. Comments flood the screen. Why is he doing this to her? She's not even resisting. ACAB? Someone call 911 on the cops. Jalen reads them aloud as they scroll. "Y'all are right," he says into the camera. "She ain't resisting. She ain't moving. And he still got his knee on her. This ain't justice. This ain't right. This is just hate." 2,000 viewers. Tyler sees the news van. His jaw tightens. Too many cameras now. Too many witnesses. Too many people who refuse to mind their own business. But he cannot back down. Backing down means admitting he was wrong, and Tyler Briggs has never been wrong. "Everyone step back," he shouts at the crowd. "This is an active police scene. Recording an officer is public property officer." Earl's voice cuts through the noise. Steady, unafraid. "First Amendment, I suggest you look it up." Tyler's hand moves toward his belt. "Sir, I'm warning you, and I'm warning you." Earl holds up his phone. "I served 2 tours, watched boys die wearing that flag on their shoulders. American boys, black boys, white boys, all of them believing in something. And I have never seen an American citizen treated the way you're treating that woman." Tyler's face reddens. "Step back or I'll arrest you for obstruction." "Then arrest me." Earl doesn't move. But that camera's still rolling, and so are all the others. 5,000 viewers. The comments become a river. Why is that cop so scared of an old veteran? This is going viral. Share this everywhere. And then, a chant begins. One voice first. Sandra, the teacher, from her minivan window. "Let her go!" Then another voice joins. A man in a work truck. "Let her go!" Then Jalen. Then Earl. Then a dozen strangers who have never met but who recognize injustice when they see it. "Let her go! Let her go! Let her go!" The chant rises, echoes off the asphalt, fills the August air with a demand that Tyler cannot ignore. But he ignores it anyway. Maya hears the chanting, hears the voices rising on her behalf, hears strangers fighting for her dignity while her face bleeds into the gravel. Good, she thinks. Let them see, let the whole world see. Her wrists ache, her ribs scream, her lungs still fight for every breath. But something has shifted. She is no longer alone. Then, the leather case slips from Maya's jacket pocket. She feels it go, feels the weight shift, feels the object that was supposed to be pinned to her chest at 9 a.m. tumble free. It skitters across the gravel, away from Tyler, toward the crowd, toward Earl Jennings. It stops at his feet. Earl looks down. A leather case, dark brown, gold clasp, official looking. He bends slowly. His bad knee protests. His arthritic fingers close around it. He straightens, flips it open, and freezes. His face goes white. His mouth opens, but no sound comes out. For 3 full seconds, Earl Jennings does not breathe. Then, barely a whisper, "Oh my God!" Darnell sees it happen, sees the old man's face drain of color, sees the badge case clutched in Earl's whitened grip. Something is wrong. Something is very, very wrong. He walks toward Earl, slowly at first, then faster. "Sir," Darnell says. "What is that? What's in the—" He sees the badge. Gold shield, city seal, 3 words, Chief of Police. Darnell stops breathing. His body goes rigid. Every muscle, every nerve, every synapse firing the same impossible truth. The woman on the ground, the badge in the case, the same face. Tyler! Darnell's voice comes out cracked, strangled. Tyler, stop! Tyler doesn't turn. His knee stays on Maya's spine. I told you to stay out of this, Watts. Tyler, you need to stop, right now. I said I got it handled. Tyler, stop, stop! Something in Darnell's voice finally cuts through. Tyler looks up, annoyed, impatient. What the hell is your problem, Watts? Darnell points at Earl, at the badge case clutched in the old man's hands. Look, Darnell whispers. Look at what he's holding. Tyler squints toward the crowd. I don't care what some old man found, it's probably just… If you believe this is wrong, type justice in the comments. Someone needs to say it out loud. Jalen's live stream explodes. 10,000 viewers now. The comments scroll so fast they blur. OMG, what is that? What's in the case? Someone zoom in. What is it? The news cameraman sees Earl's reaction, sees the shock frozen on his face, sees the leather case held open. He swings his lens toward the old veteran, zooms in. Tight shot on Earl's face, white with shock. Tighter shot on his hands, shaking uncontrollably. Tightest shot on the case itself. Gold shield catching Georgia sunlight. The words too small to read on camera, but the shape unmistakable. A police badge. Not just any badge. Something bigger. Something worse. Look at it! Darnell screams. His voice cracks across the highway like a gunshot. Every phone swings toward him. Every witness holds their breath. Tyler's knee finally lifts slightly from Maya's spine. He turns toward Earl, toward the badge case, toward the truth he is not ready to face. Tyler turns. His eyes find Earl Jennings, the old veteran standing 15 feet away with a leather case open in his trembling hands. A badge. Tyler sees the shape, the gold, the official seal, but from this distance he cannot read the words. Sir, step back. Tyler's voice carries less authority now. This is a police matter. Whatever you found… Earl walks toward him. Slow, deliberate, each step heavy with the weight of what he holds. Officer. Earl's voice does not waver. You need to see this. I said step back. Tyler's hand moves toward his belt. I'm not going to tell you again. Son. Earl stops 6 feet away, close enough for Tyler to see his eyes, close enough for Tyler to see the horror in them. I'm a veteran. I've seen badges my whole life. Carried one myself for 30 years as a civilian contractor. He extends the case toward Tyler. You need to see this badge. Darnell moves. He crosses the distance between them in 4 steps, grabs Tyler's arm, hard. His grip tightens. Tyler, look at the badge. Tyler tries to shake him off. Watts, what the hell? Look at it. Something in his partner's voice, something raw, something terrified, finally cuts through the arrogance. Tyler looks. Gold shield, city seal, a photograph, a young black woman, professional, composed, and 3 words that stop his heart. Chief of Police. Below that, Macon, Georgia. Below that, Maya A. Brooks. Below that, a date of birth that makes Tyler's stomach drop. She is 28 years old, younger than him. The world stops. Every sound fades. The chanting, the traffic, the cameras, all of it disappearing into a vacuum of impossible silence. Tyler's face drains of color. White, then gray. His mouth opens. Nothing comes out. His hands begin to shake. First his fingers, then his wrists, then his entire body. A tremor that starts in his chest and spreads outward like a crack in glass. He has just spent 22 minutes brutalizing his own chief, the woman who will sign his paychecks, the woman who will review his performance, the woman who will decide whether he keeps his badge or loses everything. And he put his knee on her spine, called her "you people," told her to stop talking so she could breathe. Earl's voice cuts through the silence, low, steady, final. You just dragged your own chief across the asphalt, son. The words land like a gavel. The crowd erupts, gasps first. Sharp intakes of breath from a dozen witnesses who cannot believe what they are hearing, then screams. Oh my God! Did he say chief? She's the police chief? He arrested his own boss. Jalen's live stream explodes. 15,000 viewers. 25,000. 50,000. The comments become a waterfall of disbelief. Wait, what? She's the chief of police? This cop is so fired. He's done. He's absolutely done. I can't believe what I just saw. This is insane. Tyler stumbles backward. His knee lifts completely off Maya's spine. Not by choice. His legs simply stop working. No, he whispers. No, that can't be. He looks at Darnell, desperate, pleading. Watts, tell me that's fake. Tell me someone planted that. Tell me. Darnell's face is stone. I ran her plates, Tyler. Maya Brooks, Macon, Georgia, clean record. His voice cracks. I told you to stop. I told you. But she was driving an old car. She didn't look like... The words die in his throat because he hears them now. Hears how they sound. She didn't look like a chief. She didn't look like someone important. She didn't look like someone who deserved respect. She looked like what he decided she was the moment he saw her skin. Maya lies still, hands cuffed behind her back, cheek bleeding into gravel. But her eyes are open now, open and fixed on Tyler Briggs with a gaze that could freeze fire. She takes a breath. Shallow, her ribs still ache from 22 minutes of pressure. But steady, controlled. The breath of a woman who has waited for this moment, who has endured every humiliation for this moment, who has cataloged every violation for this moment. She speaks. Her voice carries across the highway, cold, steady, calm, the voice of absolute authority. Badge number 4471. Tyler flinches like she has struck him. I'll remember that. 4 words. 4 words that contain his entire future. 4 words that tell him and every witness, every camera, every live stream viewer exactly what is coming. Be honest, did you see that coming? They certainly didn't. The news camera swings toward Maya. Vanessa Cole speaks into her microphone, her professional composure cracking at the edges. If you're just joining us, we are live on Highway 85 outside Macon, where a traffic stop has just taken a stunning turn. The woman on the ground, the woman we've been watching an officer restrain for the past 20 minutes, has just been identified as Maya Brooks, the newly appointed chief of police for Macon, Georgia. She pauses, lets the words land. The officer who detained her appears to be in shock. His partner is frozen, and the crowd, the chant has changed. No longer let her go. Something sharper now, something final. Fire him! Fire him! Fire him! Then, sirens. Distant at first, then closer, then screaming onto the highway shoulder in a fury of flashing lights. 3 patrol cars, an unmarked SUV, doors fly open before engines die. Sergeant Marcus Webb emerges at a run. 47 years old, 15 years on the force, senior field supervisor for the Macon PD. He was briefed yesterday about the new chief, told to expect her at the ceremony this morning. He has never seen her face. Until now. Webb pushes through the crowd, pushes past Earl, pushes past Jalen with his phone still streaming. He sees Tyler standing frozen, sees Darnell rigid with horror, sees the badge case in Earl's trembling hands, sees the woman on the ground, face bloody, hands cuffed, silk blouse torn, and he connects the dots. The color bleeds from Webb's cheeks like water draining from a sink. Oh no! The words escape before he can stop them. Oh no. Webb crosses to Earl, takes the badge case, studies it for 3 seconds that feel like 3 hours. Chief of Police, Maya A. Brooks. The photograph. The woman bleeding into the gravel. Webb closes his eyes. When he opens them, something has hardened. Something cold and final. He turns to Tyler. Briggs. His voice is ice. What did you do? Tyler's mouth works. No sound at first. Then, stammering, desperate, drowning. Sarge, I didn't know. She was driving suspicious. An old car, nice clothes, it didn't add up. I thought... You thought? Webb steps closer, close enough for Tyler to see the vein pulsing in his temple. Did you check her ID? Yes, but it didn't look like... Webb cuts him off. Did you run her plates? Tyler's voice cracks. Watts ran them, but... Did you do anything besides assume? Webb's voice rises. Not shouting. Something worse. Cold fury. Did you follow any protocol before you dragged a citizen across this highway? Tyler has no answer. because there is no answer. Webb's eyes move to Darnell. And you, Watts? His voice drops, disappointment heavier than rage. You just stood there? You watched this happen? Darnell's jaw trembles. Sarge, I tried to tell him. I ran her plates. They came back clean. I told him to stop. He wouldn't listen. You told him? Webb steps toward Darnell now. Did you physically intervene? Did you call for a supervisor? Did you do anything besides tell him? Silence. That's what I thought. Webb shakes his head. Trying isn't enough, Watts. Watching isn't enough. You're on administrative leave, effective immediately. Darnell's face crumbles, but he doesn't argue. He knows Webb is right. Webb turns back to Tyler. The crowd has gone quiet now. Phones still recording, live stream still climbing. 75,000 viewers, 80,000, 100,000. All of them watching what comes next. Give me your badge, Webb orders. Tyler's eyes widen. Sarge, your badge and your weapon, now. But I didn't know who she was. I was just doing my job. I was following my instincts like my dad always said. Your dad? Webb's composure cracks, just for a moment. Your dad was my friend, Tyler. Served with him for 12 years, and he would be ashamed of what you did today. Ashamed of what you've become. The words land like a blow. Tyler staggers. Frank Briggs taught me that the badge means protecting people, Webb continues. Not brutalizing them, not humiliating them, not deciding who deserves respect based on what car they drive or what skin they have. He extends his hand. Badge, weapon, now. Tyler's hands shake as he reaches for his chest. His fingers fumble with the clip. Once, twice. On the third try, the badge comes free. He stares at it. Badge 4471. 18 months of wearing it. 18 months of believing he was one of the good ones. Gone. He places it in Webb's palm, then his service weapon, then his radio. Each item a piece of himself being stripped away in front of 100,000 witnesses. The crowd erupts. Cheers, applause. Justice! Finally! About time! Tyler stands in the August heat, badgeless, weaponless, destroyed, and for the first time since he pulled Maya over, he begins to cry. Darnell moves toward Maya. His fingers tremble as he kneels beside her. Chief Brooks! His voice cracks. I'm going to remove the cuffs now. Maya says nothing. She waits. The key fumbles in the lock. 3 attempts before it catches. The cuffs click open. Maya's arms fall free. The circulation returns. Pins and needles, sharp and hot. Her wrists are bruised, raw, ringed with the shape of metal that should never have touched her skin. She does not rub them, does not show pain, does not accept the hand Darnell offers. She pushes herself up, slowly, painfully, alone. Maya Brooks rises, blood drying on her cheek, dirt ground into her torn blouse, gravel embedded in her palms, and steel, absolute steel in her eyes. She brushes debris from her slacks, touches her cheek, looks at the blood on her fingers. Then she checks her watch. 9:47 a.m. Her swearing-in ceremony started 47 minutes ago. Without her. She almost laughs. Almost. Webb approaches her, slowly, carefully, the way you approach something sacred that has been profaned. Chief Brooks. His voice is thick. On behalf of the Macon Police Department, on behalf of every officer who believes in what that badge is supposed to mean, I am so sorry. This should never have happened. This, Sergeant Webb, Maya's voice cuts through his apology like a blade. Cold, steady, final. Save it for the press conference. Webb stops. Maya meets his eyes. Right now, I need 3 things. A medic for my knee. It's bleeding through my slacks. A clean blouse. This one is evidence now. She pauses. And a list of every officer in this department who has had a complaint filed against them in the last 5 years. She turns, points directly at Tyler. Starting with him, Webb nods slowly. Yes, ma'am. One more thing, Sergeant. Ma'am. Maya's eyes find Tyler's. The boy who called her you people. The badge that decided she was nothing. Officer Briggs has 2 prior complaints in his file. Both excessive force. Both involving black suspects, both dismissed for insufficient evidence. Her voice carries across the highway, loud enough for every phone, every camera, every witness. Those complaints won't be dismissed this time, and neither will he. Tyler's face, already pale, goes gray. He didn't know she knew. He didn't know anyone knew. But Maya Brooks knows everything. Because Maya Brooks was never just a woman in an old car. She was, and is, the chief of police, and she just watched her own department fail every test she spent her career creating. The news camera captures everything. Vanessa Cole narrates in real time. We are witnessing what appears to be the immediate suspension of the officer involved. His badge and weapon have been confiscated by a supervisor. The newly appointed chief, still bleeding from her injuries, has just publicly referenced prior complaints against the officer that were apparently dismissed. She pauses. This is unprecedented. This is a complete collapse of protocol, of procedure, of everything law enforcement is supposed to represent. And it is all playing out live, on camera, for what our feed shows is now over 100,000 viewers. Maya turns to face the crowd. The phones, the cameras, the witnesses who stayed when they could have driven past. My name is Maya Brooks, she says. Her voice carries, not loud but certain, unshakable. I am the chief of police for Macon, Georgia. Today was supposed to be my first day. She gestures at the gravel, the blood, the cake. This is my first day. She pauses. And this? Her arm sweeps across the scene. This is exactly why I took this job. The crowd is silent. Then, one voice. Sandra, the teacher, from her minivan. We're with you, Chief. Then another. Earl, the veteran. All the way. Then Jalen. Then the man in the work truck. Then a dozen strangers. Then 24. Then every witness on that highway shoulder, raising their voices together. All the way. All the way. All the way. Maya Brooks stands in the August sun. Blood on her face, fire in her eyes, 100,000 people watching, a department in ruins behind her, and a city waiting to see what she will build from the ashes. 3 months later, the cherry blossoms have faded along Peachtree Road. Autumn has come to Georgia, painting the highways gold and red, the same highways that witnessed Maya Brooks bleeding into the gravel. But Georgia looks different now, because Maya Brooks made sure it would. Macon County Courthouse, sentencing hearing. Tyler Briggs stands before Judge Harold Patterson in an orange jumpsuit. His hands are cuffed in front of him. His face is gaunt. 3 months of awaiting trial have stripped away every trace of the arrogance that once defined him. The courtroom is packed. Reporters, advocates, citizens who drove hours to witness this moment. And in the back row, Maya Brooks. She wears her chief's uniform now. Badge pinned to her chest. The same badge that tumbled from her pocket onto a highway shoulder. The same badge that changed everything. Judge Patterson reviews the verdict. Mr. Briggs, he begins, you have been found guilty of assault under color of law, civil rights violations, and reckless endangerment. Before I deliver your sentence, do you have anything to say? Tyler's lawyer nudges him. He steps forward. Your Honor. His voice is barely a whisper. I don't have excuses. I had training. I had protocols. I had a partner telling me to stop. I had a badge case right in front of me. I had every chance to see who she really was, and I didn't, because I had already decided. He swallows hard. I looked at Chief Brooks and I saw what I wanted to see, what my bias told me to see. I didn't see a chief. I didn't see a citizen. I didn't see a human being. His voice cracks. I saw a threat, and I was wrong. The courtroom is silent. I can't undo what I did. I can't give her back those 22 minutes. I can't erase the footage that 100,000 people watched. Tyler's eyes find Maya's. But I can say this. I'm sorry. Not because I got caught. Because I became the thing I swore I'd never be. Judge Patterson nods slowly. Mr. Briggs, remorse does not erase consequences. He lifts the sentencing document. I sentence you to 3 years in state prison, followed by 5 years probation. You are permanently barred from employment in law enforcement, and you will complete 200 hours of community service focused on bias awareness training. The gavel falls. In the gallery, someone exhales. Someone else whispers, justice. And Maya Brooks watches the boy who called her you people being led away in chains. She feels no joy, no satisfaction, only a quiet sadness for a young man who had every opportunity to be better and chose not to take it. Darnell Watts resigned from the force 6 weeks after the incident. He never gave a public statement, never spoke to the press, simply submitted his badge and his weapon and walked away from everything he thought he wanted to be. Some failures are too heavy to carry in uniform, but by autumn, he had enrolled in social work school. He wants to help people now, truly help them, not stand by while they suffer. It won't undo what he didn't do on Highway 85, but it's a start. The Macon Police Department looks different now. Not just the faces, the protocols. Maya's first act as chief, once the cameras stopped rolling and the highway cleared, was to order a complete audit of the department's complaint system. Every dismissed complaint, every buried report, every officer who had been protected by silence. The results were damning. 47 complaints dismissed in 5 years, 31 involving black suspects, 22 involving the same 12 officers. Tyler Briggs was just the symptom. The disease ran deeper. Maya cut it out. 8 officers terminated. 4 more suspended pending investigation. The entire complaint review process restructured with civilian oversight. The police union protested, called her actions politically motivated, demanded her removal. She invited them to file a complaint. They declined. But Maya didn't stop at Macon. Within weeks of the incident, she received a call from the governor's office. The testimony followed, standing before the Georgia State Legislature, recounting every second of Highway 85 while cameras rolled and lawmakers listened. And by autumn, the Maya Brooks Police Accountability Act passed with bipartisan support. Mandatory body camera activation during all traffic stops, civilian review boards for excessive force complaints, annual bias training with recertification requirements, a statewide database tracking officer complaints across jurisdictions. The bill that bears her name is not revenge, it's prevention. It's making sure that no one else bleeds into Georgia gravel because an officer decided they didn't look like someone who deserved respect. The swearing-in ceremony finally happened. 72 hours after Highway 85, after the stitches, after the statements, after the world stopped spinning quite so fast. City Hall, packed chamber, standing room only. Maya stood at the podium in a new charcoal blazer, not the one that was torn, the one that became evidence, and placed her hand on her grandmother's Bible. The same Bible her mother held when she married Maya's father. The same Bible that sat on Darius's casket at his funeral. I, Maya Annette Brooks, do solemnly swear. Her mother sat in the front row, tears streaming down her face, pride radiating from every line of her body. After the ceremony, she pulled Maya into a hug that lasted 3 full minutes. Your brother would be so proud, she whispered. The same words from the voicemail. The same words Maya had listened to that morning a lifetime ago, before everything changed. I know, Mama. Maya held her tighter. I know. Earl Jennings received a commendation from the governor for his actions that day. The veteran who picked up a badge case and changed history. He didn't want the attention, didn't want the medals, didn't want anything except to know that what he witnessed mattered. Maya invited him to her office several weeks after taking command, poured him coffee, listened to his stories about Selma, about Rodney King, about all the names that became hashtags and then became forgotten. I've been watching this country break its promises my whole life, Earl told her. His voice was steady. His eyes were not. Watching it say one thing and do another. Watching it sacrifice black bodies on the altar of convenience. He paused. But you, Chief Brooks, you're different. You're not waiting for justice to come. You're building it, brick by brick, law by law. Maya set down her coffee. I'm trying, Mr. Jennings. Don't try. Earl's hand covered hers, weathered, scarred, unshakable. Succeed. For all the ones who didn't make it. For all the names we'll never know. Maya thought of Darius, 19 years old, 3 bullets, a case gone cold, a boy filed under unsolved and forgotten. She squeezed Earl's hand. I will. Jalen Carter's live stream was viewed over 12 million times. The teenager who pointed his phone at injustice became a symbol of citizen journalism. College scholarships, interview requests, a platform he never expected and never asked for. He used it well. Started a nonprofit teaching young people how to safely document police interactions, how to know their rights, how to be witnesses without becoming victims. He called it Eyes Open. The logo is a phone screen with a single eye. Watching. Always watching. And Maya Brooks? Maya Brooks wakes every morning at 5:30 a.m., checks her blood sugar, pours her coffee, reads the overnight reports. Some days are quiet. Routine patrols, minor incidents, the ordinary work of keeping a city safe. Other days are harder. The system pushes back. Old habits resist new rules. Officers who thrived under the old way resent the chief who tore it down, but she doesn't flinch, doesn't retreat, doesn't forget. Every morning, before she leaves her apartment, she pauses at the small table by the door. A photograph sits there, framed in simple black. Darius, 19 years old, smiling, alive. She touches the frame, just for a moment, just long enough to remember why she does this. "I'm still fighting," she whispers, "every single day." Then she pins her badge to her chest and walks out to build the department her brother deserved. The department everyone deserves. Highway 85 looks the same as it did 3 months ago. Same asphalt, same Georgia sun, same endless stretch of road leading into Macon. But something has changed. A small memorial sits on the shoulder now, where Maya bled, where Tyler fell, where 100,000 people watched justice demand to be seen. Flowers, photographs, handwritten notes from strangers. One note reads, "Thank you for standing up. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for showing us what dignity looks like." Another reads, "My son was stopped on this highway last year. They let him go. Because of what happened to you, they let him go." Another simply says, "Chief Brooks, we see you." Maya drives past it every morning on her way to work. She never stops, but she always looks, and she always remembers. Dignity is not given. It is not earned. It is not negotiable. It simply is. And Maya Brooks will spend the rest of her career making sure no one forgets it. If dignity matters to you, comment respect. Stories like this deserve to be remembered.